So I just need to tell the entire world that I'm going live. Just post the stream in all the places. Okay, that should do. Right. And nobody will be here yet, so it's probably not worth massively explaining what I'm doing. Lisa, welcome. Hello, it's good to see you. Unfortunately, I won't be using your Turkish translation as I don't speak a word, I'm afraid. But yeah, thanks for joining. And thank you so much for doing that translation too and chipping in and helping out with that. Okay. What am I doing today? Well, I've got a very large settlement here, thanks to Sir Rockstar, who's an extremely helpful member of the community who keeps letting me know about bugs that he's encountering with the larger settlement sizes that he gets up to, which is great because I never get the time. I never get towards building a settlement. Maybe this one's going for 7 years and it has 90 dwarves, which is nice. So he's had this bug where the buckets are randomly, it seems, getting filled with soup, which is not ideal. He has a graveyard of soup-filled buckets down here by the river. So I've been looking at this problem. Do you think I fixed it, actually? At least to stop it from happening. So every liquid source has a zone around it, and that's how filling liquid containers works. Might change this, but that's what it is for now. So you can sort of see all these coloured squares. Did you quarantine the buckets? Sort of, yeah, he's got this, yeah, the bucket graveyard of soup down here. So that's what I'm going to try and sort out next, actually. I think I've solved the problem because I've realised he's got this quite intricate kitchen up here. So like this cauldron to put soup into, and this water barrel are sharing a zone tile here. So this tile, the game's in dev mode, so you can see more information. Like there's two zones there. There's one for water, and there's a second one for, well, soup when it's activated. And I guess it was just a bug in the code that sometimes if they come to fill a bucket, say with water, from the barrel to put into the cauldron, to put some water in there, it wasn't paying attention to which material it was trying to get hold of. So sometimes, I've not been able to recreate it, but it would seem that sometimes it would, accidentally pick the wrong container and fill the bucket up with soup, and then panic and not know what to do. So I think I fixed that one now, but I would quite like to add something so you can fix these yourself, or not fix it, but dump the contents of something out that's not being used, like these. I mean, especially if at some point there's going to be some concept of these being heated or not, and sort of going off, or going off, or getting a bit mouldy or something over time, which would be gross. So the first thing for today, I'm going to try adding some button, I guess, to the UI that lets you empty out one of these containers that you don't want anymore. Because I noticed it's also got a few cauldrons of soup over here, and that's not quite correct either. And yeah, the more complex the game gets, the more scope there is for bugs like this that I've not quite sorted out yet. In fact, there's tons of these cauldrons with soup in, so that's not quite right. So I'm going to try and add like dump contents out button. New thing to translate. And then hopefully we could sort out this bucket graveyard down here. I just had to work around. And also these cauldrons. Okay. Where do I start? I guess need to add a button in the right place at the right time. So, I think I only wanted to apply if it's an item. You've got the furniture here. Maybe I want it to work if it's the furniture, but for now, I'm just going to worry about items. And it's a subtle distinction because you've got these cauldrons, which get put in place, like where this ghost is, and then it actually becomes a piece of furniture. And it swaps between the two, even though it looks exactly the same. It is treated a little bit differently. Right. Okay, let's figure out where that button would go. So there's a bunch of code related to the UI of what you can interact with. This probably wants to go in the entity selected GUI view. There's probably way too much in this class, but this is basically what makes the bit in the bottom left corner work. When you've clicked on something, what you can see. So there's stuff in here for if it's furniture, if it's a plant, if it's an item, and so on. And how does this work? So you have this selectable, that's the thing that you've clicked on that can be one of lots of different types of things, you know. It can be an entity, which is what our case is. Items are a type of entity. Or other stuff that's in the game. Bridges, rooms, constructions. The tile, they're all separate just things for now. They don't really have a sort of parent class that keeps them all together. So, if it's an entity, there's a sort of special case if it's a humanoid, which for the moment is just if it's a dwarf. It does something else. But if it's not a humanoid, we come through here. And we already kind of have the looking at there's an inventory component. We talked about components yesterday. For anyone who caught that, it's like every entity just has a bunch of these component classes, which can be almost anything. I can't decide if it's a good pattern or not to use. But that's what we have. So there's an inventory component for items, and there's a liquid container component for liquid that's within the entity. And at the moment, if either of them contain anything, this is like printing out the description into the UI. So, I might want to put something in here and say, if your liquid container component has something inside it, maybe I just always have a button, or maybe I have a button if you're an item and you're not being carried. We don't actually know for sure if you are an item yet. So let's put that in. So if the entity's type is an item, and can I say if it's on the ground? I think I could do. It's quite long-winded. Big long line of code there to say if it is placed on the ground. Right. If it's placed on the ground, we're going to add a new button. I guess this will become more complicated as I'm working on this thing. But for now, some button. How do I create a button? I've got this widget factory which can create a text button. Do I want a text button? It'd be nice if it has an icon as well, I think. Maybe I'll just see how that looks for now. Yeah. Oh, that's fast. Okay, so that's our button. I'm not going to do anything yet. Although, suppose we've got this remove button here. Maybe it's not one of those. That's what I should be adding in here. That's for furniture at the moment. But something of that type. So how does that work? Let's ignore that for a second. Okay, so we have this outer table that has the description in it. And you get these other buttons. Yeah, that's how it works. So there's this construct density component to let me know if it was something that was constructed, to let you deconstruct it or remove it. So I want some code to figure out if item with liquid on ground, basically the code that we had before. Yeah, so this will become more complex over time. It's basically that bit. Let's implement this. Okay, so if it's an entity, that's an item, and it is on the ground, and I guess need the liquid container component. So if it's an item, and it has one of those, and the liquid quantity is more than nothing. I think that's my method. Let's prove this bit. It's an item containing liquid on the ground. Now if that's true, we're going to add like a empty liquid container button, which doesn't exist yet. It's going to be somewhat similar to this deconstruct button. So it's an icon button, has an icon to go with the label. This thing. This music's a bit distorted, isn't it? There we go. Okay, so the empty liquid container button needs a label, which means a new bit of text to translate. For example, the remove label. This probably doesn't need to be that short. No, it probably does need to be short. So probably wants to be like some sort of like empty text. So GUI dot that. So GUI dot empty. Something like that. And there's a hint to translators. It does need to be quite short to fit onto an icon button. So it should say empty. Then we have an icon for it, and I probably want a new icon for this. So the icons are in this icons directory. Oops. So these are all from GameIcons.net, which is like free to use icons for games. Works really well. Now that I've got the black theme, the dark theme for Windows, I can actually see them. So that's quite nice. So I could do with some icons sort of represent stuff being dumped out of a bucket or other container. So let's go to GameIcons.net. Something liquid related? Yeah, it is liquid related for now. How do you represent something being emptied? I could flip one of these around. Not quite what I'm after though. Something container related? Yeah, that's not too bad, but that's clearly like a foundry type of thing. What represents between being emptied? This, but upside down. Maybe. Let's grab that for a second. Or maybe just like an empty box like that. Empty. It's just going to say empty as the text. We could put a tooltip on this. That would probably be worth doing. So let's do that. So that should work just by adding another translation, but with .hint on the end, and then it should just auto-magically just get hooked into the tooltip system. So that doesn't need to be short. Something like that. So yeah, I'll just go with the cardboard box for now, I think. Good morning. Morning, Eternal Scarecrow. So you join me here trying to figure out, or trying to add a new option to empty out, well, buckets in this case, that have stuff in that you don't want anymore. So I'm just adding a new icon. Thanks to GameIcons.net for having lots and lots of icons that I can use in the game. I think some people have seen these in like Minecraft mods and stuff like that, but you know, they're free to commercially use. I do intend to replace my entire UI at some point, when I figure out what it's actually supposed to be. But for now, this is a very quick and easy way to get going. So we give that the cardboard box icon. What colour does it want to be? So it probably doesn't exactly want to be red. Probably can just be its own colour. How do I do this? So I've written this little class to turn like a hexadecimal CSS style colour code into a colour. Let's pick a colour. Sorry about the dog. I can't think of any colour that would make sense to this, so it might as well just be anything. Yellow-ish? Some sort of yellowish colour. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly it. If I could spend a very long time trying to tart everything up front. One of the key things is you don't actually really know what it is that you're doing, or rather what works, or what works well, until later on. So you don't want to put a lot of effort into something that you might throw away. Best to figure it all out. That's what the alpha's for, and then it gets neatened up later on. Yeah, just got a little cavapoo down here that's quite loud. Okay, so we've got a colour, an icon, a label, a style, but the key thing is what should happen when that button is clicked. So now we have a little helper method. Oh yeah, inspiration comes at very weird times, usually in the shower or something, or back in the before times of commuting to work, that kind of thing. So that could be null. What's wrong with that? Okay, so as long as it's still the right kind of thing, if this is an item with liquid that is on the ground, we have the entity, we're going to do something. Don't know what that something is yet. So I'll just log something out now to say, hey, you clicked on this thing, do something with it. Just see if this button works. So hopefully that might work. Let's give that a go. Little audio recorder for cool ideas for novels. That is a good idea. Yeah, I keep telling myself to have a little notepad around. I never do. So I tend to use stuff like Google Docs to keep things in, but then, yeah, I'm usually driving or something when I'm thinking about something like this. And I just can't note it down, so something you can use while driving would be ideal. Okay, click on this furniture, no button. Click on this empty bucket, no button. This bucket, it's got an empty button, hooray! That's working, sort of. The button's there, that's what we're after. Right, that's the start. And yeah, even like the location and the look and feel of the UI, I hate. And where these buttons are isn't great, but I'm just following the pattern that I've got for now, and I'll hold it over at some point. Not quite as effective in the shower. Yeah, the shower is where all the best ideas come. Right, so I guess emptying these buckets needs to be a new kind of job to do. A sort of empty container job. So we'll dig into that. So you can see there as I started the game, it noticed that the icons had changed, so it recalculated my sprite sheet of icons, which is nice. Right, so jobs. All the liquid transfer jobs are quite complex. They're a bit of a special case compared to other jobs. For most jobs, you go to a location and do the thing. I wonder if that will work for this, if you can just pick up an item as part of working on a job. I'm not sure. I should know, but I'm not sure. So there's a bunch of job types that are defined. I guess we're going to have a new one of these. But these sort of transfer liquid, move liquid and item, have this switch to special goal flag, which swaps the AI over to work a bit differently than how most jobs work. Remove liquid. Do I already have this done? Remove liquid. Have I already done this? Oh, I think that's for like furniture that contains liquid. Let's look at that though. I feel like that's quite close to what I already want to do. I can't remember how it's used. So when do you get a remove liquid job? So there's already a request liquid removal thing that happens. Maybe I can make use of this. I can't remember when this is done. For the moment, that's only for furniture. That's fine. You know, we can extend it to make it work for items too. So let's say when this gets fired. Yeah, I thought this was the case. So it's if you produce liquid, so say it's a part of the brewery. Say you're turned some malt into one of the components of beer. It happens to be a liquid. When the crafting is done, this sort of clear liquid thing gets called. And then it creates a job for you to come over and bring a liquid container to empty it out with. So it's not exactly what I want to do here. But that's okay, I think. So as this currently works, it fires this message of this request holding allocation, which finds you a bucket or barrel or whatever liquid container has been defined in the message. And if you find one of those, it allocates an amount of the liquid from the container, and if that works, you get the remove liquid job. So it's got a location of where you're going to go. It's got the hauling allocation for the item to use. So maybe I could make use of that. So we got this special move liquid goal, I assume, yeah. So it's going to go to the location, which will be where the item is to begin with, pick it up, and then go to the job location. Now that could be the same location, but it needs to fill the container. Yeah, I think this needs to be different. But something similar. So remove liquids should probably be named differently actually. Well, I'll come back to that one. I need something else again. So this is like dump liquid. Call it that. Give it a new translation key to say what you're doing. So let's fill that in before I forget. Not that one. There we go. So that will say filling blah 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 blah. Let's see if I actually have some translations though. Surprises me. So I should probably just remove these translations for now. So the double brackets and the target description gets replaced by the game engine for the sort of translated string of the target of the thing. So I'm hoping that'll somewhat work. It might not do. So that could be the description. I think. Just want to make sure the target description works, I suppose. We'll come back around to that. So I suppose this needs to be another special goal, which I don't like doing. I don't think this is a good approach. But that's what I have for now until I can figure out what to improve it to. So we have this special dump liquid goal, which swaps to a different AI goal. Called that now. Okay, so the dump liquid goal. That might want to change. Yeah, that wants to change. As long as it's supposed to say something like transferring water. file dot dump liquid description. I'll have to come back and revisit these strings when we figure out how this actually looks and works and behaves. Okay, so if this has a job, you could go to the location and pick it up. If you fail to go to the location, you'll unassign the job. Okay, that's fine. Now if you pick up the entity, we're going to need a new sort of like dump contents action. Now surely that can't fail. So I suppose either way, if you pass that action, you then want to just place the item down? Or is that the job completed? I guess that would also be the job completed. So I think I have a place item action, now place entity action, okay. So if you fail that, I guess you still need to unassign the job. Oh yeah, this will need to be allocated to that job. The liquid will, so it doesn't get used elsewhere. So, need to do that. They're quite difficult to figure out, these goal JSON files. It's a bit too much of a opportunity for bugs to creep in. Between these, they could do with like a, well, the ideal would be a tool over the top of it which like draws out a little state diagram of all these different actions you can move between, these pass and fail sort of transitions. Until then, I'm better off like drawing it out by hand. I'm just gonna try and figure this one out. Okay, so if you successfully dump out the contents, you say the job's done, you place the entity back down, and then you're probably done. So if you want to assign the job at any point, you cancel the allocation, which is that one. So each of these needs one of these objects, even if it doesn't mean anything happens. So I hope that's that. Okay. I need to implement the dump contents action for this to work. But I might come back to that one. First, I'm going to make the button actually do something. So let's go back to our entity selected GUI view. So the fact it contains the liquid isn't enough. It's more if all the liquid is not being used as well. So say the liquid wasn't used, say it was allocated to be brought somewhere else. I don't want the button to be there in that case. So I'm going to introduce that as well. So there's liquid allocation. Is that from this? Yeah, so we've got a number of allocations. So we're going to extend it out too. Something like that. No, that's not right. As if the amount allocated is practically nothing. Okay. It is incredibly complicated to do absolutely anything, and you just no one will realise that until you do get into game development yourself. It's like there's just so much going on behind the scenes of every little step of everything, and so that's where we have 100 bugs come from. So yeah, even just like, you know, walk over and dump out the contents of this bucket is, you know, figuring out the AI to how to get there, how to pick it up, how to find it, being able to pathfind to that point, how you actually pick up an item off the ground is quite complex. There's this, then there's the fact that well, in this game at least, the liquid inside might be allocated to some other use already, so you need to check for that. This is basically why games have bugs. They're incredibly complex, although they might not look like it most of the time. And programmers can, you know, sort of remember 5 or so things at once to keep track of that they're trying to do. And in the end, you have this system with thousands of things happening at once. So yeah, that's why we have bugs. Yeah, that's why it takes so long. It's just really messy. There's probably easier ways in some situations to do stuff. Or it's more about building systems in place so that I can put stuff on top of those. So most recently I've done the particle effects, if you've seen any of those. Now I can just trigger a message to say, show this particle effect named this here, and have already written all the code which takes care of it, and hopefully it deals with all the many edge cases that can come in. And you're just layering stuff on top of each other, much like how the game design works actually for a game like this, where you just keep layering systems on top of each other. But the more systems there are, the more interactions between them there are, the more scope there is for things to go wrong, like this one. And yeah, so how the AI works is both complicated and not, or there's just lots of scope for things to go wrong in this too. I've got this concept of actions as part of a goal, and you transition between which actions to do or not to do depending on what's happened or what's worked or not worked. Because any of these can go wrong, you might not be able to get to where the bucket is, you might get interrupted, the bucket might not be there. You know, you have to deal with basically everything that could happen. And this is why I'm doing this, because something has gone wrong. We've ended up with buckets with soup in them because of the fact that where you pick up liquids from were overlapping in the way the player had this settlement set up. So now that I'm aware of that, I can sort it out. But there's just too much that you could possibly comprehend it all at once. Okay, so yeah, I want to come back and do this dump contents action, but I want this button to work, so that's a bit more complex now. So if that thing's true, if this is something we think we can empty, I'm going to get the item. I'm just going to fire off one of these messages to let something else deal with it. So this class that's doing the user interface for entity being selected doesn't have all the code to figure that out. So this is like a request dump contents. It says specifically liquid contents for this entity. Okay. So currently there's these different types of messages that are fired just between different bits of the code. Say when things have happened or want to happen. Is this item specific? It kind of is. Well, it might not be. Food related? No. It's just, it's a job that I want to create, so let's put it with the jobs. Okay, so something needs to deal with that message. I have a job message handler, and a liquid message handler. Maybe that's the right one. So the liquid message handler is currently dealing with, requesting liquid movement, so this feels like the right place to put it. So it's also going to listen for this. And I guess that's why it has these jobs somewhat hard-coded right now. So now our new job type of dump liquid from container. Get set. And then we can handle that message type. Alright, now we can make this work. So we're only going to implement this for items at the moment. So if for some reason this has been requested for something that's not an item, which at this point in time, I don't think that can possibly happen, but at some point in the future, I will have done something else and forgotten about this. So these error logs are mostly just for me to pick up on. Like, oh, you're trying to do this thing that's not been implemented yet. Okay, so we got that. So we know it's an item. Oh, I guess the item itself has to be unallocated. Let's go back. Entity selected, GUI view. So yeah, as well as the liquid contents of the item being allocated to a purpose, the entire item itself, bucket in this case, might have been assigned for some use. Now at the moment that never happens, and that's why we have a big graveyard of buckets full of soup, because they have soup in them. Nothing's going. They can use that to like fill it with water and use it elsewhere, and that's the problem. But that might not always be the case. So this horrible check should probably check that the item itself is not in use. So we'll just check that there are 0 of this thing allocated, and at the moment this thing is just the one bucket, but it could be like a stack of buckets. That doesn't exist either, but just to cover that possibility. So either it doesn't have an item allocation component, or the number allocated is 0. Okay. Okay, so we should be able to then allocate the item and the liquid inside. I'm not sure which one I've usually done, or if it's both. Maybe it's the item. I guess the item needs allocating to the job. Whatever I'm doing here, we're going to end up creating a remove or a dump liquid job. So something a bit like this. It creates this job here. Whoops. Where am I? In here. Just keep that there for a moment. Okay, so let's allocate the item. Should make that get or create just in case it doesn't exist. It should exist. Allocate. Can I create an allocation? I can. So the amount to allocate is however many is the item itself. So I have this item entity attributes class that keeps track of that kind of thing. So that's stuff like the quantity, what materials it's made out of, that kind of thing. Whoops. So we need a number. Who's requesting it? Now in this case the entity itself, the bucket, is requesting it, and a purpose, so that's mostly for debugging, so I know what the hell's going on. Could be a new purpose, maybe. Okay, so that should create us an allocation, but something might have gone wrong. I can't imagine it happening right now, because I've put these checks in place to make sure this is currently unallocated, but you never know. So if it doesn't create the allocation, I need to, I'm probably just going to give up, log an error, and because I'm not expecting this to happen. So most of these error logs are just for me, but if they ever actually crop up, to come in and figure out why I've hit a situation that I didn't think would happen, and fix it. Okay, but if we have the allocation, I think I can create the job. A new job of this dump liquid type. The job priority. So there's now a priority system, but this won't inherit the priority from anything, so I think it can just be the default, whatever that is, normal. And then you would actually be able to make it more higher priority or lower priority in the game if you wanted to. Right, the job location, pretty straightforward, it's just where the entity is. Although we have two kinds of locations in the game. We've got grid points, which is like the tile X and Y. Then you've got like a world position, which is a continuous floating point vector. The target ID is going to be the entity again. The work to do. It'll be very small. We've got this work to pour liquid, which is 1 second. I'll do. Need to massively overhaul how long things take to do. So can it have an item allocation? No, I might need to create a hauling allocation. What would that look like? Who creates these? Anyone? Okay, I think I might have to create one. So the hold entity type is item source position is the entity location again. Source position type should be on the floor, but might not be. So I should probably check for that. Yeah. So I'd say this might be like a bucket that's inside a chest, which again isn't quite a thing yet. I need to deal with that. So what? How do I know who's holding this? Oh, it's a container, yeah. So again, I don't think this exists just yet, so I'm just not going to worry about it today. I'll have to come back and implement this if you can ever then dump the contents of an item inside another item or piece of furniture. Okay. So there is no container ID. And there is no target to haul it to. It's a bit weird that I'm creating a hauling allocation actually. I'm not entirely sure if I need it or not. Oh, it's the whole entity ID that I want to set. Guess it's both. A bit weird. Okay. Well, let's need to set this job. We've got hauling allocation, we have job location, got a target, priority, the work. So it's not assigned to anyone, it doesn't have a cooking or crafting recipe. The state will get sorted out by like the job management stuff. It doesn't have these other things, doesn't have a required profession or anything else. I think that's it. So I can just say a job was created, attach the job, then everything else that's already in place should take care of that for me. I think. So if that works, a job should get created, and that's what I'm hoping will happen for the button, or rather, because the button checks if the items are signed. That item allocation needs to go somewhere. That's the whole reason I created the holding allocation. Yeah. So now because the bucket is assigned to some use, the button's going to go away. But it'd be nice if it actually said something on there to say that it was being emptied. I'm not sure I'm going to do that. But I would quite like to have that there. Oh, I know what we can do. Is this an item? Doesn't actually matter. Doesn't matter if it's an item or not at this point. We can get the item allocation component from the entity. I do have the entity here, don't I? Gonna change this over. Yeah, it's just the entity. Okay, so if it whatever this thing is, could be anything now, has an item allocation component, and it has an allocation for our new purpose, and that makes this very useful already. What's the new? Yeah, contents to be dumped. Perfect. So if that's there, then we know that we're trying to dump out the contents of the thing. So we could put a label there. Need some new text. This is anything. Okay. Something like that. Don't really like the text for now, but we can change that. Right. Before I can try this out, I have to create the dump contents action. So that's just a class that has the right name for this to work. So, dumping the contents out should be quite straightforward. We should be holding the bucket in this case. We should just pick it up, in fact. Now the pickup entity probably just puts the entire inventory. So it'd be quite nice to show it being held. So we figure out which one to pick it up, and we call this pickup item entity. It figures out how many to pick up and how many is there and how many are allocated, and lots of stuff happens. Picking up an item actually creates a new version of the item because you're maybe like picking up some of a stack of something. There we go. So this whole item while working flag toggles it between going into the inventory or going into what's being currently hauled. So that's part of the job type. So that's the whole item while working, so this will pick it up into our hands. That's good news. This might happen really quickly, actually. Maybe I want to change this to be like a work on job action. Yeah, I think I do. Maybe we don't need this action after all. Yeah, let's try that. Get rid of that. Dump liquid goal. Dump contents is now work on job. So we don't need the special job completed. Now the place entity, I guess that means we can use the hauling allocation that we created and actually use the target for where it needs to go to, because it's just going to go straight back to where it was. So it's going to go back onto the ground. Onto the floor. Maybe that works, maybe it doesn't, but we'll find out when we actually try it out. Okay, so if we're using work on job, it should just be like any other job where it just happens if you're in the right place, and then gets completed. And then we have this job message handler, which deals with what you do when a type of job is completed, what that actually does. And I don't like the way this has been implemented so far. I think these want splitting out to be like a bit of code that's attached to each job type, rather than just this basically hard-coded link of snippets of code to each job. Okay, if you complete a dump liquid from container job, what do we do? Well, I'll put some error handling in first, in case this has gone horribly wrong. So if it's not null and it is an item, guess it's pretty straightforward. You just need to clear out the liquid. And at some point in the future, I'll probably add something to make it have some effect in the world, like the liquid going onto the ground. We're not going to do that today, but we can have a particle effect, which is something. So I didn't allocate the liquid itself, so I can probably just change the quantity to 0. Yeah, empty the liquid into kegs or something. So I'm adding this because I've got 50 buckets with soup in them. I don't really have anywhere for that soup to go that would be useful. We could, I don't know, make it more interesting by walking over to the river and dumping the soup into the river or something. Or some sort of sewage facilities that we don't have yet. But yeah, right now it's just going to be just like, you pick it up, flip it over, it gets dumped on the ground. But actually going onto the ground doesn't really have an effect yet. Can I set that to null? I think so, yeah. Yeah. That's what I want to do. So at the end of all this, all I really wanted to do was just set the liquids not be there. That's it. So if we do that, we can at least make use of something I did more recently where we've got a new message to say, make a splash effect happen. That has a liquid splash message attached, which needs to know which entity is doing this. Now because the bucket's picked up, I might say that in this case the dwarf doing the job is the target entity. Yeah, we'll see if it works. So that person, but the material is whatever liquid is in this container currently. That should do. Okay, does this work? Go to allocation. That should figure out which one it is. Pick up the entity. Work on the job. How's that compared to the normal work on job? So just looking at this to see if I needed to explicitly tell it to like cancel not a liquid allocation, a holding allocation. But I'm hoping that'll get taken care of automatically. So maybe it's time to try it all out. I don't think it'll work first time, but I'm hoping I can find out where it goes wrong. No. Probably something was wrong in this file here. Cancel holding allocation action. Oh yeah, it needs to go there. So that's just some validation that I've put into my own goal files to make sure that you've listed everything out correctly. Okay. Well, let's get to daytime. Save the game. Right. Let's go for this bucket here. Before I do that, I have this debug message handler which does a bunch of things. If you're in dev mode and when you press the middle mouse button, so I just want to make sure that doesn't mess this up, because I use that to look into the code of what's going on at a specific location. Okay, so right now if we look at this bucket, so every tile has all this stuff. Here's the entity. It has these things. It's got a liquid container. It's got the item allocation. So it should have no allocations. The liquid container has some soup. It's got 2 soup. No allocations. Fine. That's kind of what I wanted to see. So if I press the button, it might well blow up. Okay, that's what I wanted to happen. So now if I look at this tile, well, we know it's allocated thanks to the dev info I've got printed out here, that it's got 1 allocation of the contents to be dumped. That's the item itself. So someone might come and do that job at some point, hopefully. Yeah, this is almost working. That doesn't want to be capitalized, but I'll not worry about that too much. Alright, I'll save it there, because this won't work. So I'm expecting him to pick up the bucket, stand there for about a second, and then put it down empty. After a splash happens? No. Could not find the item entity in the completion. Okay, well, we got most of the way there. That went a lot better than I expected it to. So that's this bit here. So the job's target ID wasn't the right one. And of course it wasn't the right one, because when you pick it up, it's a different item. Okay. Okay, how am I gonna deal with that? So you've got this hauling allocation. That's got a target ID. The job has a target ID. When you pick up an entity, it clones it. It gets hauled. Yeah, it updates the allocation target. So the hauling allocations, hauled entity ID gets updated. We can use that instead. It's probably the right thing to do. should be able to rely on that not causing a crash. Let's throw a breakpoint in here. Okay, let's try that again. So we come in here, we get the right item, nice. A liquid container, that's right. Make a splash, set it to 0, and we're done. Let's try and play the splash sound effect. And now the bucket's empty. Awesome, that might be it. Because I'm not expecting this to be able to happen again in the future. So hopefully you don't have to fix this many buckets in a real save game. Didn't see the splash. It would be really nice to play the splash sound effect though. So I just put that in here for now. So we've got like a request sound that we can do. Maybe I can define it as part of the job. Type. So the work on the job. When you complete the job, it stops the working on job sound. Okay. I think I might just fudge this where it doesn't take long to complete, and then we just use the working on job sound. No, that won't work. Because it would stop the sound as soon as you've finished. Yeah. So what makes it happen when you fill a barrel with water? Maybe it's the item use sound. Not sure. So let's follow it through. We have some sounds. We've got jobs, items. It's not quite a job. Ambient? No. I don't have a moderator. Never mind. Transfer liquid, there we go. So I've got this water dump. That's probably what I'm after this time. Oh, sorry about that. Loud dog. Okay, where's water dump used? Yes, we do have an on completion sound. Okay, we can use that. Perfect. Perfect, that should do it. Okay. Nice. That happened. I think that coincided with this. So I had to look at that. On the whole, it's working pretty well. That's gotta be something else. Yeah, I think that's gotta be something else. Okay, so we empty all these. Could do like a big UI thing to do lots of them. Oh, that's interesting. Let's make it a bit quicker to do, I think. Yeah, the dog made me jump too. Because I've got the audio of the microphone coming back into my headphones, so it's actually louder than it is coming through to the stream, so I can hear everything. Like I can hear people down the street. You probably heard it before actually, but even the smallest noises are coming through much louder. So the dog really made me jump. Well, this is nice. This is a nice little feature. And yeah, I want to make the sort of splash have an effect in the world of like, yeah, you know, leaving a little pool of soup in this case. Everybody knows about the classic Dwarf Fortress bug with the cats licking the alcohol off the feet. That's where this kind of thing comes from if you do it in an interesting way. Nice, okay. So I'm just going to make it a bit quicker to empty them out. So yeah, these values want to be exposed to modding. Okay, so this one might still take about a second because the job was created before I made that change, if that makes sense. So I'm hoping these ones will happen a bit quicker. Here we go. No, he's not emptying it. He's just standing around. Okay, come on, dwarves. Here we go. Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, I don't think it would take much longer than that to just dump it out right where it's standing. And I'm quite happy that the splash particle effect is working with the colour of the soup. That's nice. Okay, I think that's that done. Yeah, that's somewhat successful. Getting a few different errors, but that's probably other stuff that's in this massive save. So I'll come back and look at those. But we should be able to enter these ones too. That should sort out a lot of problems. And it shouldn't happen in the first place anymore either. Nice. Great. Okay, let's get that committed. So that one's thank you to Sir Rockstar for letting me know about that bug, providing me with this save of that big settlement with problems happening, but particularly the field of soup buckets. So I'm glad we got to the bottom of that. Now I need to find my to-do list for the rest of Alpha 5, which is this. And it's a nice sort of game dev agile planning tool called Hack and Plan, which is very good for a free tool. Next on the list is Borderless Full Screen, which has been wanted for a long time. I didn't think I could do it originally, and then the last time I was sort of digging around, I discovered, oh, we can do this. So I'm gonna add a borderless full screen option. That'll be nice. Not that. Why can't I find the thing? Oh. There it is. Okay, so this class is the one that actually launches the game. It figures out if you're in full screen or not, or if you want to be. Sets up the icon there, the width and the height of the window. And I have this user preferences thing for different settings that you store. So that goes into this preferences file in your documents, King Under the Mountain directory. That's this preferences.properties. So bits we're looking at the moment, it's got this display full screen false, it's got a resolution. So instead of just being like true false full screen, I think I'm going to need to change that into a like a full screen mode of windowed exclusive full screen or borderless full screen. Okay. Which will want a few different values. Not sure where they would live. Just gonna stick it in here then. Just to make sure I've got like specific strings for this. So, windowed, borderless, full screen, exclusive, full screen. This one always gets put into the file even if you've not changed it yet. So this feels like that should be there too. Actually, that one should go away now. We're going to get rid of display full screen, although people will currently have it, so I need to make use of it. I'm going to try to default everybody to be borderless full screen to begin with. That seems to be their preference. So this wants to change. So what's the default? Okay, well I've got this, I need to do this. So there's like a legacy full screen, which is now this bit of code. So I was going to figure out if anyone currently has the settings set to be full screen or not. And the full screen mode is going to be from preferences for that key. But the default will be, well, if if they were in full screen mode, the default's going to be borderless. If they weren't in full screen mode, it will be windowed. So if it is, the game wants to be set to full screen, that would be if the full screen mode is not windowed. And then, to really make the magic happen, if the full screen mode equals borderless full screen, I need to introduce the bit of code from my to-do list. That. So that should make it work on launch, but we also need the options menu to give these options instead now. So that should work. There, that should work. Yeah, I've got to change the options menu at the same time. So why is that highlighted? It's redundant boxing. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Right, where's this used? Graphics options tab. So we currently just have a checkbox for if you're in full screen or not. So that will need to be some kind of drop down now, I suppose. A select box for that. The label can be the same. Just that. And the select boxes are a bit weird. So I'm just gonna copy how this one works for a moment. So it's a select box. UI scan, you have an array of these things. Right, that creates my array. The selected one I need to figure out, and then the listener I need to figure out. Okay. That shouldn't be renamed. Should it? No, that's that one there. That's fine. Gonna reuse that bit of code. doing here? Extracting method. Oh no, I can't reuse that code. It's not actually the same code base. Oh, this is horrible, but I'm just going to copy and paste this for now. I could reuse it the other way around, so I will do that. Okay, that works. Yep. Okay, that gives you the selected one. Right, when this changes, we get sound, we get the selected full screen mode. When that changes, you need to update that preference to the name of it. And you probably need to tell the user to restart the game. Okay. That might do. No, it won't. No, it won't. No, that won't do, because this needs to be translated. That is not translated. It works resolution, because you don't need to translate a resolution. Oh, that's a bit of a pain. Okay. Must have dealt with this somewhere else. No. Oh, it's a real pain to work with these. Okay. Well, we'll see if this works, and then we'll translate it. Okay, so we go to graphics. The label's not there. Of course it's not. I didn't put it there. Currently set to windowed. So let's go borderless full screen. My resolution. Start again. Fingers crossed. Hey, we're full screen. Nope. It came off for some reason, but never mind. I think Twitch is dealing with that. It is not borderless. Oh, that's annoying. I thought I'd figured this out. That's why I could do it. Right, this system property. I'm sure I tested this out, and that's why I created the ticket. But maybe I'm mistaken now. So that is being set. It's kind of undocumented feature. Well, it's more because it's lightweight Java game library rather than libgdx, which is the underlying part of libgdx, really. But yeah, it's definitely not borderless. Well, I'll quickly Google it, but if I can't do this quickly, it might be a different way I need to do it. So I won't try and figure that out on stream, because it might just be hours of pointless Googling. I'm sure I tried this though. Oh well. Oh, maybe I do this different actually. Maybe I don't set it to full screen. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what I need to do. So it's only got this full screen flag if it is actually exclusive full screen. That might be it. No, that won't be too bad. Hey, it's worked. So this is Windows. Well, it's full screen, but I can bring my mouse out to somewhere else. Click off. It looks okay to me, but the stream's having a few issues showing it. Just jump in between. But that's it. That actually works. Nice. That's not the right place. Right, we need to make the translation work, which is a bit of a pain. But that's good news. Right, the label needs this padding, aligning to the right. Hopefully that's that bit. Right, so this select box, the actual items in it are going to end up being the translated strings, which isn't nice. And then I'll have to rejig it if the user changes the current language. Okay. So we're going to need a mapping of the translated string to the right mode that they are. Something like that. Which one's selected? Don't know. Don't know about the items. Don't know about the options either. So all of this is like the select box itself is now a select of strings. So when I get the value, I need to look it up in that map that I'm now going to create. Hopefully that works. Implement this, and also make the thing do it again if the translation changes. So that should just magically work if I implement this internationalization updatable interface. Okay, so when we come in here, we're going to clear the mapping, figure it out again. So for each full screen mode, I'm going to need the translator class to make this work. So my full screen mode enum here needs an internationalization key. Also entries in the translations. So probably some GUI options, graphics thing. Yeah. So like GUI options, graphics, full screen mode, dot, whatever, windowed in this case, windowed, each of those. So we got borderless full screen and exclusive full screen. I need to tie these enum values here to those strings. Like that. Okay, so I can get hold of that string, which gets translated to this text, whatever language. I could do with testing this with a different language. So it looks like the second language here is French. I'm just gonna have to pretend to translate this, I think. Unless anybody watching speaks another language and can give me the translations to these. Okay, for each full screen mode, in your list, wait, not in the list, in the mapping. Translate the full screen modes, but the key is the translation, so there. That should do. Okay, so you set the items to that, and you set the selected one to whatever matches that from the selected ones. Ah, that's why is it? Okay. Why do I have user preferences? So that's like the default value. So I can say if the current one that we're iterating over equals that one, then the selected value should be that one. Okay. That should make it work. Well, it is nice to have the what? That shouldn't be there. No, that shouldn't be there. Oh, that's upsetting. This change listener. So that message came up because I actually changed the value here. But I think there's a way of doing this so it doesn't happen for programmatic events. And I can't remember what that is. The event. Right, here, Google that one quickly. libgdx select. Oops. I can't remember. Some sort of programmatic change events flag. There you go. Okay, well, thanks for joining. Thanks for following along. Always nice to have people here. It's a bit weird if I'm talking to myself. That's probably what I'll be doing about the stream. But yeah, thanks for coming along. See you next time. Oops. Whoops, I just kicked the dog. Right, this programmatic change events. Maybe I could put it on the select box. No. Okay, what we'll do is we'll just add the listener and remove the listener. So if you have one of those, do that. Remove it, sort it all out, add it back on. Or maybe I could just create it. Yeah. Create it once. Yeah, let's do that. So it's the full screen select listener, which is this. Thing. And that way I can then remove or add that listener when messing around. So I can do that up here. Yeah, that should work. Okay. Hopefully that doesn't cause an issue. No. Wait, if it's null. Returns but true or false. Fine. Okay, let's try again. So I go in the options, no message comes up. That's good. If I go to windowed, then I do need to make changes. So, quit and launch it again. And it should stay windowed. There we go. Nice, okay, we've got borderless full screen now. That's been a much requested feature for people. Yeah, I'm very glad we've got that one in. It probably works with a smaller resolution. Let's see what that does. Maybe I should just call it borderless then. Can't say what's better if I call that borderless full screen or exclusive. If I call it borderless full screen or just borderless. And then if you set it to the right resolution for your monitor, it's borderless full screen. Yeah, I might change that. It just depends what works best for people who are playing it. But you can have it borderless and not full screen, so... And it should default to that size, actually. It should just default to borderless and your desktop resolution. So if that's the case, I think that's good. So, let's just change the translation. Can I change this? Yeah. No, I'll leave that. Right, I'll go back to Windows, but then I think that's that bit done. Windows, a bit smaller, That's what I'm after. Okay, that's one off the list. I guess that's us testing it as well. So I should put it here. I've been filling out the change log either to tell people what's changed. There's a few more particle effects than what's listed there. Happy about that one. Lots of people have asked for the borderless full screen compared to the way it currently works. It's just better, isn't it, if you're on a multi-desktop, multi-monitor setup, which most people are. And you don't really need the very small performance benefits of an exclusive full screen. Okay. Alright, that's 334 done, I think. How long did that take? Probably wasn't a full hour, but that's just for my tracking. Okay, I've got a task to make the immigration open to modding. I don't think anybody actually has tried to change it yet. But how many people come to your settlement each year, or rather if you can switch it on or off, needs to be data driven. This should be quite a small one, so we'll do that. Yeah. Okay, well, let's see how that works. So there's this immigration manager class, which figures out who's going to immigrate to the settlement each year. It's actually as the year elapses. So as it goes from winter to spring, it figures out who should come, but they actually don't arrive for a number of days, according to this here. So it's it's like, yeah, within the next 3 days or something, or third of a season, something like that. I suppose that needs to be data driven too. So, but the key bit is this: how many new settlers you get. So it figures out how much food you need per settler, because it tries to give you an extra number of settlers to the sort of stockpile that you have readily available. That'll probably change quite a bit, but that's how it's working right now. And there is this base settler increase where you always get a number of settlers, which is anywhere between 0 to 6 plus that again. That's not great, is it? So it's like last box, it's actually like rolling two dice and it adds one to it. It's not quite that actually. It's more like 2d6 minus 1 right now. But then you get a bonus if you have lots of food. And there's also a cap on immigration. which isn't very good. So these are kind of just really finger in the air numbers at the moment. I need to put a lot more thought into how many people should come each time. Maybe it's tied to wealth or your military or beds or something. At the moment it's sort of a random number plus maybe a few more if you've got lots of food hanging around. Maybe it's too many. So I need some file to define this stuff in. Wherever that should live. Got settings. Maybe that. Maybe if we have like immigration settings. Just some JSON file. And it can actually say if you want immigration or not. Okay. I don't really know what I want to describe in this thing yet. Okay. So I'm gonna have some base immigration that always happens. A dice to roll, maybe. I don't know how to describe this, or even what I want to do. Okay, I'm going to have a variance number. At the moment, that's 6. And then how many times that gets added, or how many times that gets rolled. And then a fixed amount. Which is 1. And I think that describes what I'm doing right now. Then there's also the food. Maybe I should have these separated. So you can have that enabled or not. This immigration based on food. Have that enabled or not. And then you can have some caps on immigration. At the moment that's 0.4, which means you can't have like more than 40% of your population come in a single immigrant wave. So if you have 10 settlers, you don't get more than 4. Well, that's not actually true. So this only applies if you're above a minimum amount. Which is set to 20. And at that point, you can't get more than, well, when you've got 20, you can't get more than 8, I think. So this extra food thing then, how's that figured out? you get a number of settlers per food needed. For here, I'm going to set that to that. I don't know if that's quite right. So we have surplus food. Yeah. So I need to change this name so that makes a lot more sense. So how many settlers do you get per year supply of bonus food? I expect no one's actually triggering this at the moment, but it's in there. And with this cap in place, maybe it's just not necessary. Might just drop this whole thing for now. That would mean you always grow by this amount. Unless you have lots of food. No, I'll keep that so you can grow quickly if you really try to. Okay, so I've got a JSON file that kind of just has the numbers that make it work at the moment. It's very specifically tied to my current implementation, and this will probably change over time. That's okay. Okay, so let's try and make use of this. So the first thing is I need to tell the game to basically use this file from the mods. So there's this gigantic mod artifact listing. So every thing that you grab, which might be a collection of files, my born file, I call a mod artifact. And this big thing defines what all of those are. And so you have an entry like this for each file or group of files. In this case, settings, immigration settings. It's a single file, it's a JSON object. It goes into, well, it comes from settings, immigration settings.json. And I guess at the moment it can just replace the whole thing. You can have different options here, so we could try and merge different JSON objects together. But I'll keep this simple for now. I expect if you want to mess around with this file, you would yeah, just take a copy of it and change it, rather than create a file that's just like that line. So we'll go with this way of working. So that should copy it over. So then the immigration manager should be able to load it. Much like how the time and day settings gets loaded. So I'll just have a look for that. There we go. I think it would be best to just pull all the values out of it as it loads, rather than wait until the year elapses and then try and make use of it then. So let's not have it there? Let's have... I'm just going to write this longhand for now. I could have more code to map this to represent it, but I'm just doing something quick and dirty for now. I could always change the implementation later. It's more about make this available for people to mod if they want to. Get those, and you get extra food immigration. Oops, enabled is something, and that very long name. That's a bit too long. Extra food immigration, settlers per year, supply of bonus food, and that is a floating point number. This is quite long-winded. I didn't say if it's enabled. So let's have it enabled. Oops. I suppose. Yeah, that's fine. And that's that thing. Okay. So now I should be able to just store all these. And then we'll make use of all these. Okay, okay. So let's calculate new number of settlers. So I don't want this all to happen if there are any, because you might have disabled it. Okay, calculate the number of settlers. Right. If immigration is disabled, you get none. That's equal to this extra fixed amount, and then we'll do this a number of times. We'll add random amount according to that bound. Right. So yeah, it's number of iterations by that variance plus the extra fixed amount. Right, that's your base number of immigrants. If the food thing is enabled, we need to do all this. Actually, what I should do is just have a number of immigrants. So that's the extra food, immigration, times that, times that, times that. That's an integer. I'll just cast it through it. Okay, hopefully that works. Then we add that. Okay. Then, if the caps are enabled, and current number of settlers which we need access to, is more than this min amount for caps to apply, or is equal to it, I suppose. We're going to figure out a max immigration doing that. And then your total number of immigrants is the smaller of its current value, or that max amount. Yeah. Okay, I think that'll do. So I want to make sure this bit runs correctly, and then I'm just going to make something trigger this once. Right, hopefully it all works. Fingers crossed. Okay, so did the file load? Yeah, looks like it has done. Yep. So these numbers should have been filled in. So base immigration is true, variance is 6, the iterations, can't see, it's 2, fixed amounts 1, enabled's true, that's 0.3, that's true, that's 20, that's not right, that's my check. So that should have also created a new, copy of that under assets there. And that's 0.4. Okay, so that's all of those. Right. Oh, how's that for good fortune? We're already in the last day of the year, so I don't need to fudge the immigration to happen. It'll just happen at the end of this day. That is amazingly good. Because this is the place with 90 settlers. I should make this refresh as soon as you click the button. Let's do that while I remember. Much like the deconstruct, I want to say do that and then do this to update. Okay, back to this. So at midnight we should figure out some immigration. Here we go. Right, if base immigration is enabled, it is. Total immigrants starts off as 1. Then we should do 2 iterations of adding a number between 0 and 6. So it's gone to 6, it's gone to 7, that'll do. We've currently got 90, so do we have lots of extra food? So we think we need that much food per settler. 15 for a year. Sort of assuming they're going to make soup out of it. I think. Because it should do 4 meals. Something like that. Okay, so we have lots of surplus food. So we could have an extra 74 settlers, thanks to how much food's there, and that's why the immigration caps were introduced. Max immigration is 36. So that's how many we should have. Yeah. That's a lot. That is a lot. And that's why we're letting people change it for now. So we currently got 90, but when the immigration happens at some point in the next few days, we should go to 126. So I'm just going to restart this, just for that other change that I made there. Okay, so if that worked, as I click this, it should just change. Nice. It's a bit busy, is this place? Maybe that cap immigration's too big for a settlement of this size. Should I make it smaller? Could say that once you're over 30, that you can only have a third. That feels a bit better. So I'm hoping once I've done a bunch of these tidy up tasks, I'll actually release this version for people to play. So there's not major gameplay changes, but there is the particle effects that have been added. You can see here, very subtle one as they are harvesting this carrot. There's this interesting side effect of the way that the shrubs grow or die off if they have too much competition. They end up in these sort of straight lines, which I think is pretty fun, or curious at least. This is a map that's been going for a number of years now, so the forests have overgrown where they started. So have the shrubs actually. Oh, okay, we have the immigration now. Here they come. One big line of settlers coming in. Yeah, that's a lot to deal with. What do they bring? What do they bring with them? Some rations. Okay, that's not too bad. And there's our 126 settler population. Okay, I think that'll do for that change. That's a lot of dwarves. So yeah, we've toned it down a little bit now. But now you can also change it yourself. That's why we did this. Okay, let's get that in there. So that was nice and straightforward. Number 335. I'll take that out. So I have a couple of bugs to look at. I have the starting stockpile to add back in to cover the initial items. It's going to do that next. But I'm thinking I'll wrap the stream up here actually. Been going nearly 3 hours. Best get some lunch. So a couple of bugs. Zoom to cursor is another request that's been around a long time. As you like zoom in, that you sort of scroll to the cursor. And I've had a couple of attempts, but never quite got anything that works well or that I'm happy with. So I'll have another crack at that. But then the bigger tasks for this alpha are using the particle effects to actually show the progress on the job that you're working on. That'll be quite a good one. I don't know how I'll do it with the particle effects I have now, so I'll have to possibly come up with a different way of doing things. But the really big thing is constructing roofs and flooring. Flooring is quite straightforward actually, or it should be, or it might be. We'll see. But the roof is going to be an entirely new sort of view of the game. Probably just like shading it in for now or something to show where roofing is or is not. And also figuring out what enclosed rooms actually do for you. Or rather, I want to add something to make it worthwhile to have a room enclosed. So at least a bedroom for a dwarf will be a lot happier if they have walls around it, compared to being able to just put everything outside like is just what I tend to do. Yeah, so a bunch more stuff on Alpha 5. I'll try and tackle these a bit later today. Don't know if I'll be on stream or not. But when they're done, I'll have a go at Zoom to Cursor. I think this will get released as Alpha 5.1, so people can make use of it. So that'll be the first release in quite a long time. But that's all for now. So yeah, I'm going to end the stream there. Thank you very much to people who've followed, which is just Lyserg today. That's the guy doing the Turkish translation, so look out for that in the next update too. And you know, thank you for been watching, asking any questions. It's quite nice to have a little audience to go through this. I'm not just going mad talking to myself or my dog as I'm doing this. Alright, yep, thank you for watching, and I will catch you later. Bye for now.